Atiku is the reason that the African Democratic Congress, ADC, is in the mess it is in today. Atiku. You may like to blame Tinubu, you may like to blame the APC, you may like to blame INEC, you may like to even blame the judiciary, but Atiku is the reason, the single biggest reason why ADC is in the mess it is in today. If Tinubu continues in office beyond 2027, it will not be because Tinubu is a master strategist. No. Or he knows how to play politics. No. It will be because of Atiku. If Nigeria becomes a one-party state, it will not be because Tinubu is strong and Tinubu wanted it. He may want it. But if Nigeria becomes a one-party state, it will be because of Atiku and the tendencies of the opposition politicians as a whole. Why do I say this? We may like to be truth benders. There are so many of us in Nigeria, we have become truth benders. We bend the truth to suit our actions. When our friends are doing something that is wrong, we cover them. We pretend, not pretend, in our mind, we are covering our brother. He's doing something wrong, we know, but we are covering him. But when somebody else does it, then it becomes bad. Truth benders. Until we stop this attitude of bending truth to suit our actions, Nigeria will never progress. Everybody, truth bender. You have supporters of Tinubu, truth bender. Supporters of Peter Obi, truth benders. Supporters of Atiku, truth bender. Everybody is bending truth. Nobody wants to say the truth now. Generally, bend it. Why is Atiku and the band of opposition to blame for what is happening to the ADC? Why? We hear that Atiku procured ADC for 1.7 billion naira, allegedly. Whether that is true or not, time will tell. But of course, it stands to reason that Ralph Wunsu will not just give up the ADC just like that. Something must have happened. Some money must have changed hands. Or some future benefits must have been promised for Ralph Wunsu to just take the party that he has been leader of for so many years and just give it to Atiku. Now, the question is this. Why will Atiku need to procure the ADC for 1.7 billion naira? If it is true, why will he need to do that? Why will Atiku need to bring his own henchmen? Why will Atiku need to bring his own henchmen to come and take over the ADC? That's where the problem is. And this is the reason why I blame Atiku. And it is something that most opposition politicians always do. They hide behind the Supreme Court ruling that says the leadership of a party is the internal affairs of that party. They hide behind that. They're very quick to hide behind it. In fact, all the blame that is being heaped on INEC right now, on the judiciary right now, is that they are interfering in the internal affairs of ADC, the African Democratic Congress. That's the blame. So they are quick to hide behind, oh, the leadership of a party is the internal affairs of a party. Does that mean that the leadership of a party should not respect the rule of law? Does it mean that the leadership of a party should not respect the constitution of that party? Because the leadership of a party is the internal affairs of a party? Is that what it means? They hide behind that and they cause this problem. They want to bend the political party to their will. This is why Atiku is the problem of the ADC. Atiku came to bend ADC to his will. So he needed to bring his own hench people to take over the leadership structure of the ADC. Why? No respect for the constitution of the party, of the ADC. No respect for the rule of law. He wants to put his own people in position so that when time for primaries come, they will bend the primaries to his will to give him ticket. That is the cause of all the problems in the opposition today. Not only African Democratic Congress, ADC. We must see the truth and speak the truth, no matter whose ox is God. Until we do that in this country, we will go nowhere. Tinubu's policies are still crushing Nigerians. APC, for me, is a no-no in leadership. If not for any reason, they should be pushed out so that the APC members can learn to respect the will of the people. But you see, if the opposition fails, it will not be because of Tinubu. Sorry, it will be because of politicians like Atiku. Why do you need to change the leadership of the ADC? What is it that a David Mark can do that Ralph Nwosu cannot do? Since he says he's in total alignment with the goals of the coalition. But no, Atiku wanted to bend ADC to his will. He needed his own loyalists to take over the leadership structure of the ADC. So that when it's time for primaries, even with people like Peter Obi, people like Amechi, they won't stand a chance. They go bend the thing to the will of Atiku to give Atiku ticket. That's the cause of all of this problem. And all Nigerians must know, as well as all opposition leaders, that the leadership of a political party is the internal affairs of the party. Does not mean that the party should not respect its own constitution. Does not mean that the party should disregard the rule of law of its own regulation and rules. What did Atiku do? Atiku got in and then pushed out Ralph Nwosu and brought in David Mark and Aregbesola. Why was that necessary? If Atiku respected the constitution of the party or respected the rule of law, what Atiku would have done would have been, how does the constitution of the ADC change leadership so that we can bring in new set of leaders that are more trustworthy since these current ones are not, that are more hardworking since these current ones are not. That is the first legitimate thing that somebody like Atiku should have done. But he knows if he does that, a level playing field may not favor him. And he wants the ticket at all costs because he's a runner. He's always running. Even if he doesn't win the general election, he sure wants to get ticket. So, but he always wants to do that without respect for level playing field, without respect for the rule of law. He wants to put his henchmen, loyalists in leadership structure so they can bend the party to his will. Because if not, tell me, what is wrong with asking Ralph Nwosu to follow the ADC constitution for change of leadership? The ADC has a procedure for changing leadership. The National Convention being the highest organ of the body, of the ADC. So why not ask Ralph Nwosu to call a national convention? Why not ask the National Working Committee, the National Executive Committee, why not ask them to call for a national convention of the African Democratic Congress? And then anybody who wants to now be the new leader, that person will now apply to contest for chairmanship. Then David Mark would have contested. Any other person who was also interested in becoming the chairman of the ADC would have also contested. Then at the end of the day, if David Mark is so popular, then he will be elected substantive chairman of the ADC. Would that not have been a better route to go? Why didn't Atiku take that route? Because he wants to bend the party to his will. The risks are too big for him to accept. A convention means that there is no guarantee that a David Mark and an Aregbesola will be elected as chairman. That's what it means. So, circumvent the process. Disregard it. Give money, allegedly, to the leadership. Let the NWC resign. Here is the mistake of the ADC in that approach. And this is why I believe personally that the process that brought David Mark and Aregbesola is not an excellent process. I've been saying these things since 6 months ago. It's not an excellent process. You say all the NWC members resigned. What does the constitution of the ADC say about leadership change when the membership of the ADC, the National Working Committee resigns? Is the National Working Committee the only organ of the ADC? The ward executives are not important. The local government executives are not important. The state executives are not important. The zonal executives are not important. It's only the National Working Committee. The INEC is not important. The convention is not important. So if the National Working Committee resigns, what is the procedure? A politician that respects the rule of law would have gone the route of the rule of law. Now, all of this is I'm saying it for the sake of posterity. Truth benders will not like this because you want me to now be saying, oh, they're trying to oppress the ADC. They're trying to oppress the ADC. I will not tell you that. If at all the ADC is being oppressed, the ADC is like a man who is fighting another man. And he seems to be winning. He has a weapon. He now takes that weapon and gives it to the man he's fighting. And stands and is looking at the man. The man is fighting now uses that weapon to defeat him. He's now shouting, they oppressed me. You are the one that gave him the weapon. Your weapon that gave you an advantage. You gave out the weapon. I will blame that man you are fighting, that enemy, if he doesn't use the weapon against you. So, we want to blame Tinubu, blame the APC, blame INEC, blame everybody. Those ones may well have their faults. But you see, the bulk of it is within the ADC. And it's because of people like Atiku who want to bend the party to their will. They don't want to respect the constitution of the ADC. If you didn't go the route of convention, what other options are there? If truly you say, okay, they resigned. If they resigned, the next step would have been a convention. But let's even, for the sake of argument, agree that, okay, they resigned. Now, the person you said resigned has gone to court to go and say, I did not resign. Bala Nafiu Gombe, Deputy National Chairman, North, said, I did not resign. Now, if he did not resign, and you submitted a resignation letter to INEC, now the Bala Nafiu Gombe is now saying, look, oh, my signature is forged. What I expected is to bring all, in fact, it should be flying across social media by now. Bring all the signatures. The signature that Bala Gombe, Nafiu Gombe, signed when he was elected as the Deputy National Chairman of ADC. You bring that signature. The signature that he signed when he attended NWC meeting, attendance list. You bring those signatures. Critical signatures that he has signed in other places before. You bring like 10 of them. Bring them to court. And you show the judge and say, look, oh, this man is saying that they forged his certificate. Oh, he's lying. His signature is lying. Here's his signature 5 years ago. Here's his signature 2 years ago. Here's his signature one year ago. Here's his signature today. In fact, you can take it a step further and say, oh, he resigned with his own mouth. In fact, we called the press conference. There was a video. This is when he said, I hereby resign. Voluntarily. You take this evidence to the court. Court will strike out or give you an order. But instead of doing that, you come to social media and you begin to bend the truth. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Let's call a spade, not a farm implement. Let's stop bending the truth to defend our friends when it suits us. Nigeria cannot progress like that. The ADC, and not just the ADC, opposition political parties. Look at PDP. Why is PDP in the mess it is in? Because Wike wants to pocket PDP. He wants to bend the party to his will. And then you have other power blocks. People like them, Sheyi Makinde, they want to bend the PDP to their will with total disregard for the rule of law, for the party constitution. The same thing with the Labour Party. The same thing with NNPP. You have politicians, leaders in those parties that want to bend the political party to their will without following due process. We must stop that. If we don't, it weakens the opposition and we can only continue to blame the APC. In fact, there's something we are doing with this narrative that we don't know. We are frustrating Nigerians. We are telling Nigerians that there's no need for them to come out to vote in 2027. We are serving voter apathy on a platter of gold to Tinubu to help him continue. That's what we are doing with all of this truth bending that we are doing. We are making it look like Tinubu is so powerful that he is manipulating and bending. No! Tinubu may be president of Nigeria, but he's not that powerful. If you don't have greedy and selfish politicians like Atiku who want to pocket a full political party to bend the party to their will, we won't be in this mess. If we had opposition politicians that respected the rule of law and the constitution of their party, we will not be in this mess. So instead of pointing fingers at Tinubu, tell Atiku the truth. Stop coming to this and say, oh, INEC is biased, INEC is partisan, INEC is this. I have case against INEC. I am in court against INEC. But that does not mean that when INEC does something, when it is right, then I must just castigate them for the sake of castigating them. That's not what it means. That's not how to build a nation. You saw where somebody in America, security chief, resigned because he does not agree with Trump's policies. You have seen so many of them. That is how to build a nation. By standing for truth, by standing for what you believe, not bending to whoever favors you. No. If we don't change, the opposition will complain. But Tinubu will have his way. And it is Nigeria that will learn the hard way. It is Nigerians that will learn the hard way, like we are already learning. If not for a weak opposition, energies that we're supposed to be using to drive message to the Nigerian population, we are spending it trying to defend and bend a full political party to our will. Should Tinubu even have anything to campaign on? It doesn't. But rather than focus on the issues, we are dragging the party just to secure tickets. And now, the ADC is in the mess it is in. We are blaming Tinubu, we are blaming INEC. Put your house in order. Put your house in order. If you have all those evidences, go to court. Stop coming to say, we will disregard INEC. Outside of court judgment, outside of the Court of Appeal ruling, INEC has regulatory powers. Don't play with INEC's regulatory powers. And in fact, I watched the INEC chairman, and he said exactly what I said 6-7 months ago. The Zamfaralization of ADC. And I said, if APC could be Zamfaralized under an APC government, under Buhari, if APC could be Zamfaralized in Rivers, why will ADC not be Zamfaralized if they don't follow procedure? You saw what happened in Plateau. Why? Everybody wants to bend the political party to their will. They don't want to follow the party constitution. This is why ADC is where it is in today. It is not because of Tinubu. It's not because of INEC. Yes, Tinubu will benefit, and who will see what will benefit him and not use it. But at the end of the day, it is the politicians that don't want to respect the party constitution. And we must speak truth to them. Tell them. Because if they don't, then 2027 will be a walkover. To be a walkover. If you want to know how to guarantee free and fair elections, I'll pin a video that you must watch. Thank you very much.